Hello and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel and the Healing with Homeopathy, a Substack. Today, I want to do a personal, very vulnerable kind of video. I was really thinking about this and reflecting about this, and I was like, okay, I think I want to share it or ready to share it with you guys. So of course, I've been on a healing journey since 2001, and of course, I am probably 90% better on most days than I was when I was really sick. So I've really recovered from chronic depression, chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic insomnia, and chronic hormonal issues. But of course, there are things that occur in my life that still need support. And you know that I'm a homeopath, and I also have my own homeopath, and I utilize homeopathy. I utilize different constitutional remedies to support my own health and my healing. And I want to just remind you that constitutions, like a lot of times people will think, oh, once I find my constitution, I'll be healed, right? When it comes to homeopathics, like I just need my one constitutional remedy. And I wish that was true, but the problem is that we're not that pure and clean as we used to be, I guess is the best way to describe it. And, we have a lot of ancestral baggage that we come with. I mean, the amount of suppressive therapies and traumas that our ancestors have used repeatedly, and now that we are using in our own life, many of us are complex cases with many, many layers of healing that have to be done. So, like an onion, we have to keep pulling back the layers and pulling back the layers and pulling back the layers till we get to the deepest ones. And that can take years, honestly. I have seen it where children or people who have less suppressive therapies or in a higher level of health where they need less remedies. But my case is not that case. It's needed a lot of remedies and a lot of support. And um, anyway, we're not just one constitutional layer. Our constitutional layers can shift and change over time. And I have definitely been a sepia. I have definitely been pulsatilla. I have definitely been sulfur. That's a very predominant layer for me. And I have definitely been many different. I've been nux vomica. Like there's a lot of different remedy pictures that have shown up. In acutes, I can be arsenicum album, lots, very often. It can be calcarbon in acute. So a lot of what happens is my point of this is that throughout a homeopathic healing journey, you're going to see different layers come up constitutionally and acutely, and we'll support them as they come up. So, of course, I am still supporting my body with homeopathy and utilizing different remedies when indicated and when appropriate, right? When the next layer emerges. And recently, another layer has emerged for me. And it was interesting because all of my clients needed this remedy too. It was like every client I see, I'm like, oh my God, they need this remedy. That's crazy. Over and over and over and over and over again. And then it was like, I think I need this remedy. And now all my clients are needing sulfur. It's just so funny because I feel like I'm kind of having a little bit of a sulfur moment as well. But yeah, we will attract, it's like a resonance. Like, you know how people say, oh, we don't, germs don't exist and you can catch diseases. I think it's all resonance, right? So we're gonna, it's nothing to do with the germ, but it's like a resonant frequency of what you pick up. And then the same thing as a healer, the clients are going to gravitate you in resonance. They're going to gravitate. It's a resonance. Like, come to me if I resonate. I say that all the time, but then they come to me and it's like they're on a very similar healing path that I'm on often. And they're having a lot of the same feelings I'm having or dealing with a lot of the same things I'm dealing with. And I just find that so interesting. Like everything in life is really a mirror. And it's so interesting to me. So anyway, see, I'm in a little bit of a sulfur state. I've been very thirsty. Um, that's not the remedy that I took recently, and I'm not going to be treating it sulfur anytime soon, and I'm going to tell you why in a few minutes. I've really been in process these last couple of months. If you'd noticed me being a little bit more quiet or just maybe a different vibe in me, I've definitely been in a lot of process, a lot of reflection, and transformation going on since my last remedy. And this remedy has helped me, and I will tell you eventually what it is in a minute. It's helped me to express my wants and my needs much more, and to have more clarity around them, which is really good. And even boundaries with clients and even boundaries within myself. I've noticed that it's subtle, but it's noticeable. And chronic disease and healing, it's a very when you use a remedy, like a homeopathic remedy, it's an unwinding process. And it's not like this, oh, all of a sudden you're a different person, right? It's like this slow unwinding process that's been happening. but I'm definitely expressing myself more. And definitely like noticing my wants and needs are, and like being more intuitive with my wants and needs. Like, oh, I just need to go lay in the grass for a few minutes, or oh, I need to go like have this food, or oh, I need to like just do this or whatever. Like I've been very intuitive with that, which is kind of good, and definitely putting up more boundaries. Um, I got into this space, especially with my oldest son, where I was kind of allowing him to walk all over me in a lot of ways. And he even said to me, Mom, you're sweet as sugar. You're not going to do anything about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then, and then of course I have been, but I wasn't, before this remedy, I wasn't strong enough to actually speak that or to put up those boundaries with him. And he's in a Lycopodium state, which is the kind of energy that will feed off of. That's his remedy, which has been working beautifully. I will do another video on that. But it was in this energy state where it was like, a lycopodium is going to feed on the weak. They have poor self-confidence. So then if they feel like they're one-upping you, they're going to feed on that. They're going to feed off that energy, and they're going to prey on the weak kind of thing. Because it's really due to their own poor confidence and fear of failure and fear of, just not being good enough, that they will then prey on the weak and be a bully to people who they think they are stronger than. But maybe not to somebody who they don't feel stronger than. They will not. They will bow down and be a coward. But if they do feel that way, they will domineer that person. Okay. If they feel you are weaker, they will be domineering to you. And this is not only shown, this kind of lack of boundaries thing was not only showing up with my son, it was showing up in many other ways, with clients, with my husband, with taking care of my own wants and needs, pushing myself, working out when I shouldn't, even though I knew I was tired, or just pushing myself too far in a lot of different capacities in my life. I'm looking at notes because I wrote some notes about what I wanted to express here today. So just help me, be patient with me as I get through all of this. So I even noticed that I'm saying no, even though I want to say yes. You like to please others. So in an example, like somebody asking me to do something, but I'm like, oh, I really want to say no here, but I really want to please them. And I'm like sticking to it. So that's a big shift for me too. And I'm expressing anger. It's funny, when I first got sick, I was really angry and expressed tons of anger. But somehow along my healing journey, as I moved out of, like, because my first remedy was sepia, and they can be really, really angry and desire a lot of freedom, and it was the right remedy. But as I've shifted through other layers of my healing journey, I came to this place where I was a more suppressed person, where I wasn't expressing my anger and I wasn't able to elicit it. And almost like I wasn't strong enough to express that anger. Like my constitution, my vital force was like, I just can't take any confrontation. I can't do it. And I just don't have the capacity to be angry. And it felt weird. Like it felt weird. And I also have been, I always play with water and write little messages on Post-its and put them underneath my water. And I'm like, help me release what no longer serves me. And working on trying to express my anger. But since this remedy, I have noticed, I was like, I got annoyed with my husband the other day, and I like went upstairs and I went and I yelled, like out of like just from my own, like it's a difference between like forcing it and being like, because I would try to force it and just like be on a walk and try to yell or like let out my aggression, and I couldn't. And the other day, like I stomp up the stairs and I like a little girl having a temper tantrum, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. We want to emote our feelings. And I just was like, I let out a big like shriek and yell, and I was like, oh. And it feels good. And we can't keep these things inside, because when we do, it creates blockages in our energetic flow. So it's like these knots or these ripples that don't allow the energy to flow within our water system, which is our exclusion zone water or our coherent domains of water. And it creates these blocks or ripples, and it doesn't flow, and the energy gets stagnant. And then we're not really having good energy flow within our body. So that's some shifts I've noticed. And I've also been more easily triggered since this remedy. So I'm still in what we would call the aggravation phase, meaning that it's a remedy, all remedies, especially when you take a very high potency of a very deep acting remedy, you're going to have an aggravation phase. And I've seen myself on a 1M, which is the potency I've taken, take a few months to really get out of that aggravation phase. So I'm only about a month to 6 weeks in, maybe the max. So I'm still in the aggravation phase. It's going to probably last about 8 to 12 weeks of that aggravation phase. And then we'll see what sticks around after, if my ability to express anger and put up boundaries sticks, which I hope it does. But in this phase, I'm also feeling a little bit more triggered easily and a little bit more hurt by simple things. And I'm easily brought to tears or brought to aggression or brought to emotions at this time. I have a very strong pulsatile layer as well. And when you're healing on a deeper remedy like I'm on right now, when you're doing that, you can also start healing other layers that are underneath it or within it. A remedy can not only heal just the one like the remedy picture that you took, but it can heal other layers as well, which I mind blowing. We'll see how it goes if I can finally get the pulsatilla and sulfur under control, because those are probably my two strongest layers. Anyway, I didn't even realize that I had suppressed anger, suppressed grief, and suppressed shame. And it's been really just pouring out of me in ways I didn't know existed. I kind of felt it a little bit. I was like, I have some grief. I mean, honestly, I was chronically ill for years, and that put a huge strain on my relationships. It put a huge strain on the relationship with my children, huge strain on our financial situation, because I had a very good income as a special ed teacher here in New York. Like, I had a very good, solid income. I chose to give that up. It didn't feel aligned anymore, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot to go through. And there's a lot of suppressed guilt, shame, and just grief about that has been really bubbling to the surface. And I've really had to sit with it and process it, not in a way that I could just be like, oh, here it comes up and I move on. It was like, no, I've had to like sit and really feel these emotions and really be in process with these emotions, where like sometimes they were like kind of debilitating me for some time, but not in a bad way, in a good way. Because in order to really heal fully, you do have to feel. And that is not something people want to talk about, but you really do. And I really had to feel these emotions to get to the other side here, which I feel like is starting to shift there. And I noticed, and I never really thought about this, most of the anger and the guilt and the shame it's all directed at self. It's all like blaming myself for the past illness and the relationship stress and the financial stress and the loss and of the life that we had, and the giving up of the life that we had. It's all self-blaming. And of course, that's why I dealt with autoimmunity. Like, autoimmunity is never about it's never about your body attacking itself. It's about you attacking yourself, really. If you blaming yourself, you having all of these um inner judgments about yourself and criticism about yourself. And yeah, I mean, I was like, I didn't realize how much I was really attacking myself inside of me. Like, oh my goodness, and just the awareness of all this is healing. Just the awareness is healing of all of this coming to the surface. I was like, wow, no wonder I dealt with autoimmunity, because I'm just blaming and shaming myself for everything that's gone wrong in my life, which most of my life is really, really good. And I have so much to be grateful and proud of. But then I would go into these shame spirals about all the negativity of like one trigger. And then I go into these shame spirals about all the things that yeah, that are not true, really, honestly. So and I just realized the person I was really most angry with was myself. And that was like a really big transformative moment, excuse me, because not a lot of us want to admit that. And not a lot of us want to do this heavy work, because it's hard and it's messy work. And like, I realized the person I need to forgive the most is me, not anybody else. Because we're always a mirror, and then we'll want to blame others. The person that I really need to work on forgiving is myself. Excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. So I've been working on that. And the person that I need to love more is me as well. So the relationship with yourself is really the most important. And that's what feel like I'm manifesting right now and bringing to the table, which is beautiful. And this remedy is all about that. It's all about learning to reconnect with yourself and find yourself. And it's kind of amazing how much a remedy can shift things. Okay, we should be good. So anyway, I've been kind of deep in process with this, and really a lot of reflection, needing a lot of quiet time, a lot of space, a lot of time to grieve, a lot of time to be in stillness. I've really been thinking about like who I am, who am I, what do I want to be, like what are my goals, dreams, passion, purpose. And I thought I've had it all figured out, right? But now all of a sudden it's like coming back, like, oh man, like this remedy has definitely brought this to my forefront a little bit for sure. Feels like I'm trying to like find myself again, my new self and my old self combined, like trying to figure out how to marry that, like the person that I was before chronic illness and the person that I am now, and how do I marry all that together? And it's really been challenging and kind of exhausting some days, and really pushing me to my limits on the mental capacity and the emotional capacity. But that's how healing is. It's messy, it's transformative, it's this becoming. It's not like it's not sunshine and rainbows. It just can't be, because that's the darkness is the light, you know, that the darkness is the expansion and the growth and the evolution, right? So through the darkness is how we have all of that. So it's the becoming is where I'm at, and it's these up and down waves because I'm in this aggravation phase still too. Um, so yeah, it's just what happens when you're on a very deep acting, high potency remedy. It can just bring out all of these shifts and make you start really doing a lot of inner work, which is what this remedy has pushed me to do. And I don't know if I would have been strong enough to handle this remedy 4 years ago, but since all the work that I've been doing with circadian biology and quantum biology practices and lifestyle, which gives the body more energy, then now to process everything, right? Because emotions are energy in motion. So we need to have a lot of energy to be processing emotions, right? And also all the homeopathy that I've done to help me clear through some other layers have expanded me enough to be able to, I think, handle this layer now. I don't think if I would have had this remedy on my first remedy, it would have gone as well for me. Um, so I just took one dose of the remedy that I took. I'm sure you're all like wondering what it is, and I'm going to share. You might know if you were a homeopath, you might have some ideas or just know about homeopathy, but I just take one dose. I took about 8 pellets under my tongue one night about 5 weeks ago before I went to bed, and I just laid there and I let them dissolve, and, you know, gave my body as much good intentional thoughts about how this remedy was going to support my health and help me move through things and transform me. And is a good quality remedy, well, a remedy and a high potency like a 1M could last months to years without being antidoted. And I'll do another video on antidotes for you guys because I think it's an important piece to talk about. But anyway, it's like I said, I'm still in the aggravation phase, and I know on the other side of the aggravation phase is always something really good. And this remedy feels just deeper, like different and deeper acting than any other remedy that I've taken, which is really cool. Um, so the remedy I took was Carcinosin, which is it's a miasmatic remedy. It's a nosode made from breast cancer tissue. And it's a very deep acting remedy. And it's there's three main miasmatic remedies, and I'm going to do for paid subscribers uh, video content on my Substack, Healing with Homeopathy, about miasms, because I really want to deep dive into them because I find them so fascinating. And the main miasms, which is like these energetic blueprints that you're born with, that like ancestrally have been passed down to us, that are kind of like the energetic blueprints that I don't know how to describe it, like different ways or different um taints. I don't want to say taints because there's good parts and bad parts, but a lot of homeopaths will say taints, like these energetic taints that are on your kind of genetic predispositions, right? So like what you're going to be genetically predisposed to based on triggers. So I've probably been born with this carcinosin layer, and it finally got activated and it finally came to fruition. And I'm working on supporting it through my own awareness and using a homeopathic remedy, right? So it's like kind of like these patterns or these energetic blueprints that are passed down to us ancestrally, right? And they can also develop from different triggers like jabs or antibiotics or emotional stressors in our lives as well. But I obviously have a genetic predisposition to this one. And most of us have all the miasms. The top miasm is soric. So if I was going to make like I think I'm going to make this in a document, but the top miasm is soric miasm, and I'm not going to really talk about that what it is today. I will talk about it in a different video, but that miasm is the basis of all chronic disease according to Hahnemann. So all other miasms or other taints would be underneath that. So if psoric is the top miasm, underneath it is what we call the psychotic miasm and the syphilitic miasm. And they're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, but they both come from psoric. So without psoric, you can't have syphilitic taint or psychotic taint. If I'm getting too much for you, just hang with me, okay? You cannot have syphilitic or psychotic without having psoric, because psoric is the base of all disease. So those ones would be on top. And then umbrellaing under that are new miasms, which is the tubercular miasm, which I also have that taint because my grandmother suppressed tuberculosis. I also have a syphilitic taint, and I'm very aware of that for other reasons, which I won't go into, but I have a syphilitic taint. Everybody has psoric, right? Because I would not have syphilitic and tubercular without having psoric, right? And I also have a psychotic. So here you have all of these different miasms. Like I know I already have, I have psychotic based off of a lot of the symptomology that I have, which has been centered around the urogenitalia area. And when you have urogenitalia symptoms or urogynecological, urine and gynecological symptomology, it's always rooted in psychotic. So I have that taint as well. I know it's getting big, right? I'm going to do a visual on this coming up. So now underneath the psoric, syphilitic, psychotic, under those umbrellas, you have tubercular, and then you have the carcinosin as well. And now people are also saying there's a strep miasm as well from the strep as well, taint as well. And this is not due to germs. I just want to clarify that. It's not that germs cause disease. It's the way that we suppress those germs, or the way that we suppress these symptoms, I should say, that's the cause of the taint or the misalignment or the way that nature is trying to heal. Symptoms are the way that nature is trying to heal, not only in us individually, but as a collective. So when psoric comes around, the symptoms of psoric, it's a way that nature is trying to heal. And then when we push it back in, we cause further disruption and disease. Okay. That's how I view it. These taints that come up, these psoric, syphilitic, psychotic, tubercular, carcinosin, which is cancer, strep, when these diseases start to emerge, or symptoms of these diseases, this is nature's way of trying to restore homeostasis and balance. And then we come along and we take these suppressive medications or other suppressive things like they used to do in the past, like bloodletting and mercury injections and all kinds of other things, that barbaric bleach treatments, right? Like all of these things, sulfur baths, like they also can be suppressive and come in and disrupt the healing phase. And then that's what causes the energetic block or this energetic blueprint to continue to pass down over lineage and make us weaker and weaker as a society. That was a lot. I hope you stuck with me. So anyway, if I have a carcinosin layer, I also have, well, tuberculin, you don't have to, but likely carcinosin will cover all the other above miasms. It will cover syphilitic, it will cover psychotic, it will cover psoric, and it will cover tuberculosis as well, or tuberculin. It will cover all of the miasms. So carcinosin is a very deep acting remedy and a very strong miasmatic remedy, and it works at this level that's very intense. Okay, did you stick with me through that? This is a very long video, but I think it's really important for us to understand this, because miasms are the root of disease according to homeopathy, and that's why I really want to go into this with you. And the manifestation is due to nature trying to course correct, and then we block that course correction, and then we develop miasms, basically. That's why I think COVID is going to be another going to be another miasm for us, because the way we course corrected was not good. Nature man-made or not, who knows, right? But either way, this is manifested, and then that's nature's way of saying something is not aligned in our lives as a collective, and then we come in and we try to have interventions that suppress it, and it causes more of a problem, because then nature can't really restore balance, and then it creates a miasm. I hope that made sense the way I'm describing it. So anyway, this remedy carcinosin is a really big woman's remedy, but it can also be a man's remedy. My husband also absolutely has this layer, and I think there's a resonance with that as well. They are very strong people pleasers, very strong people pleasers. They don't like, they want to make sure everything is okay with everybody. Everybody's okay. They're fastidious. They like organization and routine, and they want to make sure everybody is, okay. And they really they're very sympathetic and empathetic and can feed off the energy of everybody else. Um, they, sorry, I was reading my notes. They have no boundaries, or they lack boundaries, and they suppress emotions very much. They usually have a lot of trauma in their background, whether they've been abused physically, emotionally, or sexually. That's usually typical for a carcinosin picture. And they're very big nature people, very connected to nature. Yeah, we'll talk more about carcinosin. I'll do a separate video, but I think you kind of got my drift. They're very suppressive emotions, a lot of guilt, anger, and shame that's been suppressed. It's a very good remedy for like autoimmune diseases, mast cell activation, or just immune dysregulation. There's a great immune dysregulation in carcinosin. They're the people who never get fevers. One of the indications of why I took this remedy. And they are very much, I had chronic bladder infections as a kid and never got fevers, which is very interesting. So a lot of immune dysregulation, a lot of self-blame, self-worth issues, guilt, shame, all of that would be in carcinosin as well. And that's, I think, a lot of those emotions are part of why autoimmune disease develops. Very sensitive soul, sensitive to all things. Very, very interesting. In fact, forgive me, Kelly, if I can't remember which last name you're using, either Kelly Croft or Kelly Erickson. I can't remember which one. Follow her. She's awesome. She just put out a post about how histamine is people who have histamine issues, it's due to lack of boundaries. And that makes so much sense. And phosphorus would also be another really great remedy for this, because they also lack boundaries, and they're very porous. But carcinosin is this way as well. They're very porous, and all things can come into them, right? They don't have boundaries, right? So everything affects them greatly, right? All of the environment affects them greatly. All the things affect them. They have no boundaries. They can't filter it out. Everything affects them. And they don't have boundaries in the way that they stand up for themselves or speak for themselves, and they're people pleasers. Histamine issues, I did a video on histamine issues. It's a while back on my YouTube channel, but they're not about food. Yes, food can be triggers, but that's not the root cause of any chronic disease. The root cause is likely more suppressed emotions, or people pleasing, or not having boundaries, right? You're too porous. You're not bound. Everything is just affecting you at this deep level. And yes, you're in the cell danger response, and the mitochondria are responding, but that's because they don't feel, they feel like they need to protect you and always be on high alert, and then they have an overreactive immune system, because everything is a threat. So it has to do with all of these components, greatly, very much. And then what she told me was so interesting, is that under the lack of boundaries is the guilt and the shame, which makes so much sense for carcinosin in particular. Not so much phosphorus. Phosphorus, that doesn't really fit for. But in this remedy, that makes so much sense. So anyway, through the darkness is the expansion. Through the challenge is the expansion. So I know that on the other side of this remedy, there's going to be great expansion for me. And I've seen that with every remedy that I've taken. They always present with some challenges. I mean, just a little bit about how remedies work quickly is like, my first remedy was sepia, and it was a 1M. So that's a pretty high dose. It's very high energetic resonance. The higher potency, the more dilute, the higher the energetic portion of the remedy. So it's a very high energy remedy, and it really helped me on the physical level and on the mental emotional level. And then a 10M was too strong and didn't work for me of that remedy, right? But I've taken lots of different remedies in high potency. Well, not really. Actually, just sepia and berberis I've only taken in high potencies, which berberis did nothing for me, because it's more of a physical remedy for me. That was more of so I wouldn't need it in such a high potency. It acted better in a lower potency, like a 200C, probably would act pretty good, I think, in a 30C or a 12C as well, because it's more of a physical remedy layer for me, not a mental emotional remedies. You want to prescribe high, and you definitely want to meet with a homeopath. Please do not go out and just take carcinosin or prescribe yourself high potencies of remedies, because I don't think I would have been able to handle carcinosin in the past, because remedies are going to stir shit up. They are going to stir shit up, and you need to be ready. And one of my good friends said to me, I was debating, am I ready? Should I take this? I know it's going to shift a lot of things. I know it's going to be it's kind of be a whirlwind. I knew it was going to be, because I know I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive soul, and I'm sensitive to remedies, and I'm sensitive to their actions. And I knew I'm a very good prover also. So I knew it was going to be some big shifts for me. And it was like, was I ready to accept this? Was my question. And she said, take it when you feel like you're ready and you actually can handle this. And I don't think I would have been in the past. And your homeopath is going to know when you are ready for a bigger remedy like that. I would never give one of my very sensitive clients this remedy in a high potency if I didn't think they could handle it. And that's true of other remedies that stir a lot of things up, like thuya and sulfur. There's these remedies that can stir things up. Some people need a much more gentler potency, a much more gentle way of going about it. So it's very nuanced. Homeopathy is not only nuanced in getting the right remedy, it's getting the right potency and then the right frequency of taking that potency. I only taken one dose of this remedy. I probably won't I'm hopefully not to take another remedy for about 6 months, 8 months, maybe even a year, if I could go that long without having, again, if an acute situation comes up that absolutely needs my support and attention, I'm going to have to treat it. But remedies antidote each other. So as soon as I take a new remedy, it's going to antidote this remedy. Now, I have some other homeopathic friends who say that that's not true 100%. So I don't know, but I think it depends on the person's case and individual things. Sometimes if the remedy's really got a hold of you in a deep, deep way, it might not antidote. But I don't know. So it's possible. It could go either way. But I kind of go on the thing that it does antidote. So if it does, then we stop the action of this. So it's best to always give the body as much time and space to do the unwinding that it needs to do. This is not a fast process. Like, when you have a headache and you take a Advil and it goes right away. That's not how homeopathy works. In acute situations, yes, it might be that fast acting, but in chronic situations, it's not doing that because it works with the body and it's unwinding all of the suppression, right? That's why all of the things are starting to come out on me on the emotional sphere, right? All my emotional things are being stirred up. Who am I? What do I want to do with my life? These are all things, all the guilt, the shame, the grief, it's all been coming out of me. The anger, it's all been coming out of me because it's been stuffed inside. That's what's happening. That's the unwinding process. And that's going to take time, and it can come out on the physical level as well, this remedy. It could come out in anything that you've suppressed in the past, strep throats, eczema, asthma, acne, whatever you've suppressed in the past, that might start showing up again, right? And we want to do our best not to interrupt these deep healing processes as much as we can, okay? Chronic constipation, you might be this is a good remedy for that too. Everything's stuck inside. It's a good remedy for chronic fatigue, a good remedy to consider if you've had mono in the past, strep throat repeated in the past. If you're the doormat, if you're just not able to really express yourself or express who you really are, and you kind of like pulsatilla, where you can become whoever everybody wants you to be or be like the people you're around. Pulsatilla has this too. Carcinosin has this as well. So anyway, I have talked at length, and I could talk about this kind of stuff for days and days. I love talking about homeopathy, and I love talking about miasms, and I really plan to do more of a deep dive into miasms because I think they're just so interesting. And I will be doing that for paid subscribers on my Substack. Those videos will be only for paid subscribers. And I will be deep diving more into acute remedies like I've been doing. I'll be deep diving into hormone remedies on my Substack, probably for paid subscribers. I'm going to be deep diving into cell salts coming up. I have a lot of plans to really do a lot of work in my Substack this coming fall when the kids go back to school, because I love teaching about homeopathy so much. And I will do a video on Lycopodium because it's been really good for my son. And it's a very, 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 very common male remedy in my family lineage. You'll see those patterns. You'll see those patterns in the family, that the family needs similar things often too, because that energetic blueprint, again, is being passed down, right? And with each generation, if we're not healing it, it's getting deeper. And that's the truth of it. And that's why every generation is a little bit sicker and a little bit harder to fully resolve chronic illness. Because getting back to that level of purity is a little bit challenging, right? But we can keep supporting the body and keep getting there and growing to that space. So anyway, I'm in the expansion. I'm in the process. I'm going to be on the other side. And there has been days where I feel like this has been too much and overwhelming and I don't know how I'm going to get through it. And then there are days that I'm like, oh, it's the expansion and it's going to be good. And I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's just the wave when you're in the aggravation of a big, deep chronic remedy. That's just the normalcy. So if you've taken a big, deep chronic remedy or a deep acting layer remedy for you and you've in this kind of wave, that is normal. And is part of the healing phase until the body can reach homeostasis and find that balance again. So anyway, I hope that this video was interesting, inspiring, gives you a little bit of insight about me and what's been going on with me and my process. And I'm so curious about your comments. I hope that me being vulnerable about this was good. And I think it's good to share like this and share more about my own healing journey and process. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, and share with people who need to hear it. And join the Substack if you're not on it. And I think that's it. Let me know what you want to know more about too. If there's something specific that you want me to teach about, I can tailor my teaching to you. I'm teaching for you, right? It's what I'm doing to support you. So tell me what you want to learn more about. Carcinosin people are usually in the healing roles too. A lot of phosphorus as well are healers. All right. I will chat with you guys soon and have a fantastic rest of your day.